I'ma raise a winner, not a motherfucking clown, not a motherfucking.
Disclaimer. This video is aimed at experienced players who have reached endgame and assumes that you're using optimized gear. If you're a new player looking for tips for your first Tigrex encounter, some of the information might not be applicable for you, as you likely won't have the mandatory armor skills or the damage required to optimally make use of openings or hit certain stagger thresholds. This is an in-depth guide with the purpose of helping players achieve mastery over the Valor Greatsword vs Tigrex matchup, while also functioning as a resource for speedrunners who want to compete with the Sub-3 gang trademark. It contains everything I've learned about the matchup from over 2,000 Tigrex kills in GU alone, with many more abandoned attempts. With that being said, let's get into the guide. The best in-slot gear for this matchup is the Black X armor set with the Atalka Greatsword and a Sheath Sharpened 10 3-slot charm. This will give you the skills Challenge Sheath, Crit Draw, Crit Boost, which you need to slot in, Focus, Sheath Control, and Blightproof, I guess. Focus, Crit Draw, and Crit Boost are self-explanatory. Challenge Sheath helps with sharpness management, and Sheath Control allows you to squeeze in a lot of extra attacks in many situations, while also leading to 2 KOs throughout the fight. The preferred hunter art is Absolute Evasion, but if you don't have a Sheath Sharpened 10 3-slot charm, you'll want to go with Absolute Readiness instead. There are multiple ways to script the start of the fight up until your Valor gauge is filled and Tigrex enrages. In this video, I will explain my preferred strat, which is also the most consistent one. For this, you'll want to eat for Feline Explorer to force the secret area spawn, unless you're willing to reset for that, in which case, touch grass. As soon as the quest starts, you want to use a Smoke Bomb. Make sure not to move before using it, as that would cause Tigrex to spot you. After using the Smoke Bomb, jump down and run towards the direction that the Tigrex is walking towards, and do a level 3 charge as shown on screen. If the Tigrex is small enough, you'll have enough time to take a Might Seat before attacking him. Once you land your charge, Tigrex will roar. Face towards him and Valor Sheath to dodge the roar, then hit him with a draw attack. This will stagger him, giving you enough time to land another level 3 charge, which puts you into Valor mode and enrages the Tigrex. Here you have 2 options. You can either take a Might Seat and start charging after the Tigrex lowers his head after the enraged roar, praying to the RNG gods that he'll charge at you, or you can play it safe and run up to him and punish the enraged roar with a level 3 charge. The roar doesn't have a lot of range and you don't need to iframe it or anything, just stay out of its hitbox. The general approach to the fight is to stagger Tigrex with a charged attack, then immediately sheath your weapon and land another uncharged draw attack, and go into the Valor stance anticipating the next attack. Ideally, you'll only use draw attacks, charged or not, throughout the entire fight. Now let's go over all of Tiggys' attacks and the best way to punish them. First, let's go over the 2 attacks that cannot be punished with a level 3 charge. Yes, there's only 2 of them, the Bite and the Rock Throw. For both of these, just Valor stance the attack and then do a non-charged draw attack. If he's not enraged, you can do a level 1 charge here. This also goes for the draw attack you can normally do after a stagger. 2 other attacks that are easy to punish are the Roar and the Spin. Again, Valor stance them and follow up with a level 3 charge. The timing is fairly tight here, so make sure you start charging as soon as you can. When it comes to the Spin, there is actually a scenario in which you do not have enough time for level 3. As you can see in this clip, I Valor stanced the claw instead of the head, which means it took slightly longer for me to sheath my weapon. If this happens, you'll only have enough time for a level 2 charge. Something like this can also happen during a KO. If you KO a Tigrex with a non-charged draw attack, you can get in 3 level 3 idle charges, which are performed by pressing X and A at the same time. However, if you KO him with a level 3 charge, the recovery animation is slightly longer, so you'll only have enough time to do 2 level 3 charges and 1 level 2 charge. Don't do the level 2 charge last though, because he won't stagger from that. Now let's get into the attacks that actually require some timing and positioning to punish. Firstly, the charge. There is actually more to this than you might think. There's a couple different things that can happen here. In most cases, he'll do a 180 turn and charge again, in which case he'll stop after the second charge. Alternatively, he can just not turn at all and stop after one charge. Or he'll do about a 140-degree turn, which is a huge time waster as he'll always charge 3 times in a row, in this case in G rank. In all of these cases, just run after him and start charging from behind him as soon as he flicks his tail back as shown on screen. Keep in mind that if he charges twice, there's about a 50% chance that he'll taunt. Don't worry about that though, you might be able to hit the tail here and still have enough time to snipe the head with the level 3 afterwards. Another thing that can happen is him stopping mid-charge and taking a step back. In this case, do an uncharged draw attack. Lastly, there is a charge that defies Tiggy's own mechanics and fucks you over 99% of the time and there is nothing you can do about it. In this case, he'll charge immediately after a stagger without even turning towards you, hitting you during a draw attack before you can Valor stance it. This is also the only instance where you can do a 180 turn and still charge 3 times in a row. This is pretty rare, so I feel like it's not even intended and got through playtesting undetected, but maybe Capcom's just trolling us because they think it's funny. Another attack with multiple variations is the jump. There are 2 different jumps, one where Tigrex flails around in midair and does a little idle animation afterwards, and one that's just a quick leap. Both of these have different follow-up attacks that are not guaranteed but almost always happen. After a quick leap, he'll do a turnaround charge. He will always stop charging after he reached the point where he locked onto you and take a step back. If you see him do the leap, don't move for a moment, then run to the side as he charges at you, and do a level 3 charge as shown on screen. After a longer jump, he'll do the exact same attack again and then taunt. As you can see, it's possible to dunk him out of the second jump, and it's actually easier than you'd think. Don't move during the first jump, but turn around to face him. Then start charging the exact moment he starts turning around to you, and you should land the idle level 3 charge as he's in midair. After a successful dunk, sheath your weapon as usual and follow up with another level 3. Again, these attack strings will almost always happen, but are not guaranteed. Sometimes you follow up with a random move and you'll look stupid, which from my experience usually happens when you reposition during a jump, so as I said, don't move too much when he jumps. The forward spin is a move that's pretty easy to punish. Just sheath your weapon and run after him, then start charging from behind him. The double bite is what you want to save absolute evasion for. Use it to get behind him, then start charging in anticipation of the head turn. If you don't have absolute evasion up, Valor sheath the attack and do a non-charged draw attack. Lastly, let's talk about the most annoying things that can happen during a Tigrex run, other than the aforementioned frame 1 instant charge with no turn animation. One very inconsistent mechanic of the fight is Tigrex simply jumping back. If he does this with his back against the wall, congratulations, you get a free level 3 charge. Just be careful if you're doing an idle charge here because the jump back has wind pressure and the idle charge doesn't have super armor at the beginning. If there is no wall behind him, you can go for a risky charge and hope he charges at you, which is obviously not guaranteed. The timing will also depend on how far away he ends up being. If you want to play it safe, just don't do anything and wait for the next opening. The other annoying mechanics that were added in Gen 4 are the turnaround charge and rock throw. There's no real counterplay to this, but sometimes you'll get lucky and clip the head as he turns, and if not then, well, cry. If you manage to execute everything perfectly, and the Tigrex doesn't troll too much, he should be limping within the same area that he spawns in. A limp stop is every speedrunner's worst nightmare, but luckily there's a way to stop Tiggy's limp without too much RNG being involved. You do, however, need him to face the point where he leaps from, which is close to this pillar right here, and he also needs to be fairly far away from it when he starts limping. Once he limps, run in front of him and start charging away from him as shown on screen. If you hit the head like this 3 times, he'll be dead within 1 area. If he gets away, which, let's be honest, will happen most of the time, chase him to the next area. If you're fast enough, you can get in front of him and hit the head as he lands. If not, start charging from behind him after he lands. There are more things to the fight, such as iframe timings, but those won't be needed if you're using Valor Greatsword and do everything as explained. You should have all the knowledge needed to curb stomp Tigrex within a few minutes now. All that's left to do is to put it into practice. Have fun with that and happy hunting.